Hello and welcome to the Summer Sessions, a podcast where we revisit movies from our childhood. It's a show where we talk about our nostalgia behind these movies, how they got made, and just how well they hold up when rewatching them in the present day. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me, as always, Matthew Pelton.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm joining today in a broken state.
Why a broken state?
So the last 2 to 3 days, dude, I've been so sick.
Oh,
I feel like hell. Oh, dude, it's been awful. And the last 2 days, I'm like, oh, I have to watch Hoodwinked. It's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. Not to get into spoilers, but I forgot what this movie was. And then I watched it.
Oh, really?
And we'll get to that. But anyway, so you've been sick. So have you just been bedridden sick? Or
yeah,
I've
just been the last 2 days I have not left my room. This is the first time I've seen my kitchen in 3 days straight.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It's been awful. I was supposed to move to Boston yesterday. Okay. Because I have there's jobs. I won't spoil anything because I think the show's cursed. Yeah. But
you're still waiting to hear back?
Well, I heard back from one, not the other. So I was supposed to move yesterday, but I was like, I've only been driving for a year, and Nick knows how I drive, So I was like, I don't know how comfortable I feel driving this ill. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, what kind of, not to get gross, but what kind of illness was it? Was it a head cold?
Yeah, it's just a head cold.
Okay.
It's nothing there's no throwing up or anything.
You're just violent.
Yeah.
Violent diarrhea I had.
Dude, I'm filming this on the toilet right now as we speak. I cannot leave the bathroom.
Oh my god.
No, but it was so weird because yesterday, for the first time in my life, I experienced something I've never experienced. Mm. But I'm only 21, so that's going to happen a lot. But so it's a normal head cold. I'm all kind of stuffed up and stuff like that. And just kind of general body tiredness or fatigue. You know what I mean? But for some reason, every 20 minutes to half an hour, my head was just throbbing, but not the forehead throbbing pain you get with a headache. It was I could hear it in my ears. It sounded like there was an earthquake going on in my skull. Dude, it freaked me out.
Yeah, I've had that happen a couple times, and every time it's severely uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
It's terrible.
I was I don't know am I just having a stroke? I'm I don't know what's going on.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so during all of this, I still watch Hoodwinked, just for this show.
Heck yeah.
Committed.
Yeah, I begrudgingly watched it. I only said it because I was excited to watch it, and then I started watching it, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But, so yesterday, I was telling you this yesterday, but I watched this movie partially last night and partially this morning.
Oh, you didn't finish it last night?
I couldn't get through the whole thing because, and I think I said this over text, but to the listeners, I had a 13-and-a-half-hour shift yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
So I worked from 8:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. I hard closed. I basically opened. Not really, but I was in right in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was a shit show of a day. We had evacuations, we had downtime, guests were rude. It was just a wild time.
Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong kind of thing.
Basically, yeah. And then thankfully I got a second wind halfway through the day. So I came home and I was like, I'll start, doing research on this the night before and I'll watch the movie.
Smart.
And then I started doing it and then I just was like, if I stay awake any longer, I will be sleeping on the couch tonight. I cannot move. I couldn't move. I was I need to get in bed.
It was that bad? That's wild.
I was so tired. I mean, because I could, I barely sat, all day. I was up top. And the job, I think, more so than PhotoPass, more so than last program.
Yeah.
Requires me to constantly be talking to people.
You
whether
don't get a
it be
break.
giving them instructions or interacting with them and telling them what the ride is and if I'm loading people on, I'm like, all right, you guys are gonna get on and hang on to your hats, sunglasses, ears. It gets windy, all this stuff. Constant saying the same thing over and over and over. So by the time I get home, I'm physically tired from standing, but the emotional and like verbal like exhaustion.
Yeah, no, I get that.
It's
like your
great.
social
Like,
batteries destroyed.
Social batteries destroyed. I was driving home yesterday, and I had music on, and I was singing. Couldn't hit certain notes because my voice was just destroyed. I lost my voice. It was horrible. So luckily today I only work 6 hours.
There you go.
Later, which is great. And I have the next 2 days off, which is wonderful. But
see, it's stories like this where I'm like, why do you love the college program so much? I'm like, this sounds like hell.
No, but here's the thing. Well, first of all, I did it for the money, and second of all, I love my job so much that I don't mind doing all of that. Like, I enjoy being there. It was just like
hassle
for a thing that I love so much. It was very hectic that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. So I would rather be there for 13 and a half hours than be anywhere else for 4.
Well, except Greenlit and Psychedelic Toad, our short film.
Right.
Obviously, yeah.
Although, I'm not getting paid for those.
No, we're definitely not. In fact, we're actively losing money on both.
Yeah. Time and money. No. But it was a fun time. But yeah, other than that, I mean, my week, I actually, so funny enough, I worked 13 and a half hours yesterday, and then 3 days ago I worked 12 and a half hours.
Jesus. My God.
So I'm getting all this overtime pay, which is great. But I've been very tired.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
See, I've also been very tired, but for the polar opposite reason.
Okay.
Which is also because
sleeping too much.
Yes, dude, I'm just having too much fun. But the last couple days, I've just I think I've just been stretching myself too thin with too much stuff. Because even my dad, I called him yesterday, and I was like, hey, I'm sick. And he's like, yeah, shocker. He's like, look what you've been doing, you psychopath. So Wednesday was a big New York City day. So I drove in, lived it up, got back at 3 a.m. Then I had to wake up early.
Oh, I didn't know you were in New York.
Yeah, I was in New York City for the day.
That's cool.
I was visiting some friends over there.
Very fun.
Because I'm going to Boston right after I record this. I'm already packing up my stuff and going.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I've been on a little farewell tour. Just saying goodbye to all my people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I had New York City for the day. Came back at 3 a.m. Went to bed. Woke up early to complete an essay for my class and then a video for my internship, and then go to New Jersey and say goodbye to people there.
Wow.
So it's just been this nonstop back-to-back work, say goodbye to people, do this, do that. And without a lot of sleep because it's been too much. Yeah, so I think it's all accumulated to now I'm all gross and dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. That's usually how it goes at either the end of this college program last time or the end of a semester.
Yeah, you start to get sick.
You're doing a bunch just because you have a week left or whatever, and you're
you have
soon,
to.
So you're I have to see people, I have to do things, I have finals, all that stuff, and then by the time you're home, you're I don't want to wake up, I just want to sleep for 5 days.
Exactly, dude. It's been brutal.
That'll be good once you're settled into Boston. So no spoilers. You can't get into any Boston stuff.
Okay, I can give updates because actually it's very fascinating, and I would actually love your advice on what to do here. Okay. So to kind of spoil. I got 2 job interviews with WERS.
Woo!
Who's the parent company of WECB, the radio show that this show was on. Yeah. So the 2 interviews were one in the video department, because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was to be an on-air voice on the radio. Yes. So, okay, coming up next is, the new song by blah, 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 which would be me. Mm-hmm. Which would be so much fun. That'd be so rad. Yeah. So I have the in-person on radio interview on Tuesday at 10. And then I had the video one a couple days ago on Zoom.
Oh, nice.
So good news, I got it.
Oh, sweet. The video one?
Yeah, I got the video one, which is
very
sick.
Cool.
And I even asked, I was like, well, can you do the video one and the in-person thing? And she's like, yeah, people do it all the time because the video one's not that demanding. Yeah, I'm sick. Sure. But it's unpaid.
The video one?
The video one.
Got it.
And my internship's unpaid.
Is the radio host one paid?
Well, that is the question, right? So I know someone who does it, and I was convinced it was paid. I have a memory of them getting a paycheck. I'm like, I know I'm good, but just in case, let me call them.
Yeah.
So I called her up. I was like, hey, your in-person thing, whatever. Do you get paid for that? She doesn't.
Oh.
But she knows someone who does. So it's technically possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so there's a chance.
There's a chance. So my game plan is Tuesday when I'm going to go to the interview. I'm going to ask if I can get paid. And if I can, that's my job and I'm good. But if I can't, I think I have to say no. Because now that's basically 3 jobs I'm working that all are unpaid. So then I need a 4th one to actually have income. I think it's too much. I think it's too much.
That's insane.
Yeah, because we're trying to make a movie. We have a radio show. I'm in an NYU class, an Emerson class. And then I have an internship. And then 2 other jobs. And then a real job. That's insane.
Yeah, no.
There's no way.
By the end of the summer, you'd be like, I don't even want to go back to school.
Yeah, I'd be fried. I'm moving to Alaska for a year.
That's wild.
So you'll never hear from me again.
Would you say no to the video one as well, or just the radio one?
Well, that I don't know. Only the radio one sounds cooler, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But the video one does look better on like a video resume.
Well, right.
You know what I mean? Like
major.
Yeah, that's our career and major. So I think I probably have to suck it up and do the video one. But again, we'll see. Hopefully, in-person one's paid and it's not a big deal. But we'll find out Tuesday.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
Between this past week and now what you have upcoming, that's a wild
dude,
time.
I know. Anyway, the next couple of days, dude, I get up to Boston tonight. I have to fully unpack, finish the video for the internship, and then Monday early in the morning, I'm going into the city to go meet with our color grader for Psychedelic Toad.
Yes.
Yeah, and I meet with him for a couple hours, come back, then actually have my internship meeting, show the video, and then I got to write an essay for Tuesday.
Oh boy,
there's so much
yeah.
I'm doing all this while I'm sick as a dog.
Right. This is why when I did my last college program, I fully took the semester off because I was like, I can't even think about anything else because I know it's going to be overwhelming. But listen, hats off to you if you're doing stuff you like because that's all really cool.
Yeah, it's all cool stuff. I sounds like I'm complaining, but I get very lucky.
No, because that's my thing too is with Disney, but also with stuff at school. My parents are always like, dude, you're killing yourself with how much stuff you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather be busy doing what I love than not busy stressing out about not doing what I love.
Exactly. If I was sitting here with just twiddling my thumbs and I only did greenlit, I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love greenlit, but it's one day.
No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it was last semester. It was I had that one thing to look forward to, and then I was
exactly. It was every Monday.
Yeah. It's my favorite day of the week, and then it was an hour, and it flew by, and I was like, oh, what the heck?
Man.
That's why I immediately edited those episodes. I would come home after recording, and then just listen to the conversation we just had.
You were out of control.
Not that I even had to do any editing, because it was all live, so I just had to got the beginning and end. And
yeah, it was very
this one
easy.
requires a lot more editing, but
yeah.
I was just this is the one thing that I have. I need to hang on to it. I actually forgot. I don't think I told you this, but I had an audition recently to be featured, and I'm saying it out loud here in hopes that I can come back with good news, because the first week I said that I was worried about my job, and now I love my job, and it's
true.
Great.
That is true.
So I'm saying this here, so hopefully in a couple weeks I can come back and be I got it, yeah, woohoo. But anyways, so I auditioned to be basically not an ambassador, but to be an on-camera talent for the Disney College Program, social media basically.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so basically what they did, they were hey, we have marketing auditions. If you love the Disney College Program, come out. Tell us why you love it, and then you and your program can be featured on our pages. And I was
sick.
Oh, let's do it. That's so
literally
fun.
You.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I was this is perfect. So I show up. Everyone else here is the exact same as me. So there's tons of people there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so I have to and I've never auditioned for because I'm not an on-camera talent. I'm very much behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of us are crew people.
Exactly. So I get there, and it's a camera guy, like director, like an interviewer, and then like the lady, it seemed like she was like the producer. Basically, there was like a 3-camera set, like a 3-person setup on either side. So there was 2 sides of the room, and there were like a bunch of people. And
so it's crowded.
I show up, not like crowded, but there were people there, and it freaked me out. So I show up, I go to one side of the room, and they call my name, and I go up, and I have to stand in front of a camera, look into the barrel of the lens, and deliver my answers to their questions. So I can't look at them. And if you know anything about me, and I know you know this, but for the listeners, I'm very much a person that does not like looking into a camera and talking. I like talking to people and looking at people. So that's what I was assuming, because like in like the little description that they sent before I went, they were like, all right, you're going to be, having a conversation. It's like an interview, but like it's a conversation. You're going to be talking to a person. And then if we like you, we'll have you back for some sort of marketing thing. Yeah. So I get there, they're like, deliver all your answers into the camera. And I was like, fuck, this is awful. So I did it. It went fine.
Okay.
But we'll see. I'm hoping that they do some sort of like program spotlight on like my job, and then they show up with like all these cameras while I'm working. And they like film me.
That would be pretty cool.
Because they do that that's basically like what it is. And then sometimes they like will have you on the I don't remember exactly what the podcast is called, but it's like the Life at Disney podcast, and it's like the official Disney College Program podcast.
Oh, like they run it.
Yeah. And so they would like have you on, and you just like talk about this, which is crazy.
Dude, you gotta plug the show.
I know. So fingers crossed for that. But it's just crazy that like I did that in general, just because like I'm so not like an on-camera talent.
Now wait. But, so let's say yours gets chosen. Where does this video end up? Is this like Instagram, YouTube, like on TV?
Yeah, like the official Disney Instagrams.
That's
and, like,
sick.
All of that.
Oh my god, that's actually
like
really cool.
they would use me, my program, my story, like to promote the college program. They're
Will
like,
they
hey,
tag
look,
you?
this is like the ideal. I don't know if they'd tag my account, but I mean, I'd be there and then I'd comment on it. So
yeah, you'd be like,
this is me. Yeah, this is. Thanks Disney for having me. This is my account, by the way. Go follow it.
Now, if they tag you, just pretend that your account is greenlit.wecb.
Right.
I think it will work.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm
That's
hoping
pretty cool.
that the greenlit tag in my like bio, my Instagram, will be enough to like people go there and then they go there and they see Toad and they see Triptych and they see River they see all of the stuff. Yeah. We just one day we get like thousands of followers
on all of them.
Yeah, every single one.
Like, wait, why are these projects kind of cool? I should check these out.
Oh man, when is that Toad one releasing? We gotta go see that. Is that playing in a theater?
Gotta go to the big premiere, man.
Yeah. But anyways, I forgot I did that. That's like crazy.
That is pretty wild. That's pretty cool.
But anyways, other than that, it's been pretty. I mean, chill. I don't know if chill is the word, but it's just been work and hanging out. And
it's been normal level of chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in a couple days, so Maddie and I, we like traded to have the same days off.
Okay.
And we're going to like these natural springs that Florida has. So we're taking a little break from like the Disney life, and we're going super early. I think on Tuesday. I don't. It depends on weather though, because it rains every day here. But yeah, it's like these natural springs in like Florida, and then we're gonna go to the beach. I'm excited. We have a nice little weekend coming up.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. Take a little break.
Yeah.
Nothing against Disney, just
no. Please, tomorrow I'm rope dropping after going. I'm going to So since I've turned 21.
Yes.
I'll make this really quick because we'll get into Hoodwinked. Yeah, thank you. But so since I've turned 21, Maddie. So last program, Maddie, Sam, and all of our like friends went out to this bar. It's called Jelly Rolls. And
is it in Disney?
Basically, it's in Disney. It's like at one of the resorts.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But the cool thing about it is it's not like a normal like trashy bar, like because that's like not my scene. And
I was about to say, I can't picture you at a bar.
No. But the cool thing about this one, the reason I like love it, and we go back like every Sunday. We're actually gonna go after work tonight. Is they have dueling pianos.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, and they take requests just based on like how much you tip. And so like
I've
they
been
play
to one
like
of those. I remember that.
Yeah, they play like Disney music. They play like just basic hits. it's so much fun. And everyone there, and Sunday nights is Disney College Program nights, so all CPs get in for free. Yeah, all CPs get in for free. And it's a bunch of kids like our age, and we all like have the same music taste, so it's all like music
songs
that,
you know.
It's great, yeah. So we're gonna go tonight. But yeah, so that's been like a new
discovery,
fun little thing. Yeah.
See, actually, I made a mistake at one of those.
Oh, okay.
Because I went once. It was like someone's birthday, and I went to the dual piano thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't drink. But I was like, I'll go.
Sure, yeah. I'm usually sober there anyways, but
there
I
you
usually
go.
drive, but still.
Yeah. So we all went, and I always just get like a Shirley Temple.
Yeah.
Not a dirty Shirley. I do request a Shirley Temple. So we're sitting there, and I was like, so how does this work? And like the same thing you just said, you do requests, and you got a tip and stuff. And I was like, well, I have no cash, but I still want to request, because they sometimes do requests even though you don't tip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
They're just
they do
way
that
more inclined. Yeah. So you know me. I was like, well, I want to hear an Oasis song. So what's like the only one people know in the United States is Wonderwall.
Right.
Which you actually sent me a video of.
I was just going to say,
Wonderwall.
you saw that, right? Yeah. They were playing Wonderwall, and I was like, why do I know this song? And then I was like, oh, right, I heard it through my wall every day.
Every single day. So keep in mind, just if there are any people out there that are listening that are Oasis fans, Wonderwall is not one of my favorites, but it's just the one people know. So
yeah.
What I did is I screwed up, is I requested Wonderwall on like the little piece of paper. But I then proceeded to write Wonderwall on 27 other pieces of paper and put all of them in one guy's jar.
Why? Just because you were like, I have to get it?
I have to get it. I thought maybe he'd find it like funny enough to be like, okay, screw it, I'll play Wonderwall. He got pissed.
Oh, he hated it.
Yeah, he's like, he literally said, like, he stopped playing piano, and he's like, to the person who wrote Wonderwall like 40 times, he's like, fuck you. He's like, I refuse to play Wonderwall even if you tip now. He's like, I'm not doing it.
Oh my God.
I was like, uh-oh. Dude, I never made a suggestion again. I sat my ass down.
That's crazy.
It was so scary.
Dude, that's why. Yeah, I guess someone that is insane. Someone
he
last
was livid.
Time, they don't have a jar. They have they just have like their piano, and then
You just have to put it up.
You just have to place it on there, and then they'll look at it immediately as soon as you put it down. Just because
so
if they don't know the song, yeah. Because also if they don't know the song, they're like, hey, we don't know every song under the sun.
True.
So they'll give you your money back. So they'll be like, hey,
cool.
don't bother with this. Either pick a different song
yeah.
or just take it back because we're not gonna play it.
Yeah, we just don't know
unfortunately.
it.
But it blew my mind the first time we went of how many songs these guys know.
Yeah, it's wild.
Word for word, first of all, but also on piano. It just blows.
Cool.
It is such a unique talent of just knowing that much music. It's incredible.
No,
so
now
cool.
I'm like, maybe my play sucked, because there's multiple times I saw the guy pull up like the Genius lyrics on his phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did not know the song at all.
Oh yeah, no. These dudes at Jelly Rolls are something else. They're
I gotta
crazy.
go there.
Dude, when you visit, we gotta go to Jelly Rolls.
I'm so down.
We'll go on Sunday night, and me, you, and Maddie can show up, and we'll all go.
And I'll actually get to hear Wonderwall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I won't be a dick about it.
Exactly. I'll have cash on me, and we can tip them, and we'll.
Sweet.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll,
cool.
we'll get it done for sure. So, and they're also open until 2 a.m. So
oh my God.
So I get off at work. I get off of work at 10 tonight, and we go at 11. I get home from work tonight, and then we'll go at 11.
And you take off immediately.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it's fun. And then tomorrow morning we're rope dropping. Maddie is going with a friend, or I guess a guy she knows from school, who is also down here, and I'm going to a different park. So separately tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. after staying out till 2 a.m, we're going to different parks.
Dude, that's
and then
insane.
proceeding to meet back up and go to the water park that Maddie works at for 3 hours. And then
Screw
possibly
that.
go to the movies to see the new Pixar movie.
Wait, have you seen The Flash yet?
No, dude, I've been so busy with these 12-hour shifts. I haven't had a chance to see what is it? Not that I want to see Transformers, but I haven't seen Transformers. I haven't seen Flash. I haven't seen Elemental, which I'm going to see tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just saw Spider-Man, which I love, but I haven't seen Little Mermaid, which I'm shocked I haven't. Just because
even I've seen The Little Mermaid.
Exactly. And what's the other one? I haven't seen. I think didn't Asteroid City just come out?
Yeah, that came out this weekend. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I'm severely behind. I need to go desperately. Okay, so we should get back into
our actual movie
at hand, and I'm glad that we talked a bunch before this because I want to speed through this as fast as possible because this movie, not to spoil, but I'm going to spoil, I was not a fan of this movie whatsoever.
Way.
We'll get into why.
Is this your most hated one so far in Summer Sessions?
Easily. Like, without question.
No shit.
Without question. I have some things I really liked about it, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, yeah.
So anyways, we are talking today about the 2005 film Hoodwinked.
Yes.
And this is your movie. You picked this movie. So do you want to start with childhood stories?
Yeah. So
okay.
I kind of spoiled it a little bit on Lion King 1.5, but when I watched Boy Cried Werewolf, the lost episode. Oh, I had like an unhealthy obsession.
After that, I had like 45 minutes.
I'm bringing it back. I had like a weird unhealthy obsession with werewolves after that. Like I got like werewolf binders. I researched how to become one.
Right.
Like, I went
did
way
become
too
one
intense.
for a year.
I was fully a werewolf. You guys don't know that, but that's true. So that was insane. And then Hoodwinked. My memories, Hoodwinked followed it. I don't know if it was before Boy Who Cried Werewolf or after. Like, in terms of, like, actual release day. But whenever I watched it, I know I watched those close. So when I watched Hoodwinked, it also became, like, one of those unhealthy obsessions. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. That I became obsessed with, like, fairy tales and folklore. Like, I was going to say I purchased, but I was, like, 7? So I made my mom purchase, like, the original Grimm's fairy tales, like, the dark ones.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to know what they actually are. And, like, I started going around, like, telling people about, like, Good Lord Riding Hood and shit. Mm-hmm. Like, this became my world for what felt like a couple years, but in reality, it was, like, a month.
Yeah.
But, Hoodwinked, that really took me down a path.
Right. So, to kind of chime in with the release dates. So this movie came out in 2005. You very well could have seen this post 2005 or rewatched it post 2005.
I was 4.
Because Boy Who Cried Werewolf was 2010, 5 years later.
Oh, it's 9. Yeah. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably saw Hoodwinked way later.
Right. I'm in the same boat because the only things... I don't remember a ton about this movie. I just remember kind of like the feeling it gave me. So I remember I watched it on DVD at home. That's really all I remember. I don't remember... I didn't remember that there was music in this, like a musical numbers.
I didn't either, actually.
Had no clue. Like, if you told me that there were musical numbers in this before watching this movie, I'd be like, are you sure we're talking about the same movie? Because that's bullshit. And then also, I remembered being a little scared by it. I think because it was like the noir feel. Like, I never watched like noir.
Detective-y and...
Yeah, I never watched those kinds of things as a kid. And then obviously when I grew up, went to film school, that was like, this is a subgenre I never really delved into, and now I kind of got into it. But when I was younger, I kind of was a little scared by like the darker undertones of, I was a Disney kid, so I was like, where's what's going on here? Why are they? What's happening?
Fair, that's fair. I think that's probably why I liked it, because as a kid, I was like, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I was scared by it, but I enjoyed it as a kid.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
not as an adult.
I liked the premise. Not as an adult.
Yeah,
not
clearly.
As an adult at all. Yeah.
I will say the specific things I remembered, which I know we'll get like further into in plot, but I didn't remember. I did not remember there was music in this at all. Mm-hmm. The only things I specifically remembered were like the little bunny being like, spoiler alert for Hoodwinked, but he's like the main villain.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the second he appeared on the screen, I was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, you're the evil guy.
Because I remember his face like contorting to be evil, and like his eyebrows like turning in. Being evil. I do remember that.
In a creepy way.
The animation is interesting, but also there's really interesting story to this that we'll get into. That I actually found the production side of this was a lot more fascinating than anything, which I was surprised at. Yeah, this is probably the most interesting production that I can remember, like for a good long while. I don't know, because it's not what I was expecting.
Interesting. Yeah, now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, that leads right into it. So, to start off, it was directed by a guy named Corey Edwards, who, from what I read, did almost like nothing else other than this movie. Oh. Like, he did a few other movies, but like nothing big.
And then he just somehow did Hoodwinked?
He did Hoodwinked, and I don't know if he did the second Hoodwinked, because there is a Hoodwinked too.
Yeah, there is a Hoodwinked too.
I remember watching, but again, remember nothing about it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember liking the first and second one like equally the same, but also I was a child. Yeah,
well, I was about to say.
Yeah. They were all the same to me. But yeah, he did like a few other movies, but I don't. This is one of the guys that like he could be an accountant right now. Like I don't
he's, like,
know
just
what
not,
he does.
Like he could not even be in the film world whatsoever.
Yeah,
He's just fully disappeared.
His IMDb like is very strange. It's like he was a writer on a few things, but like not really. He was a director on a few things, but like not really.
Not really.
Like yeah, it's very very weird.
Yeah, what the hell's up with that?
He fully directed this. But
the
interesting thing about this is coming up, and this kind of pieces together the whole like why he
that
directed
wasn't it.
Why...
We have some mysterious director.
No. That's not even the half of it. So, okay, so this movie was, and again, this is still not the weird part, but this movie was produced by Blue Yonder Films and Can Bar Entertainment,
which are those?
Two very, very minor production companies that I don't think exist anymore, and this might have been the only movie they ever did. Again, this is all building towards the narrative that we're getting to.
Okay.
But it was distributed by the Weinstein Company, which makes no sense to me.
No, when I put this movie on, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah. Harvey touched it.
Yeah, whoops.
So it was edited by a guy named Tony Leach, who, again, has also done nothing incredibly of note. And it was a funny thought to think that this guy edited this movie and then just did nothing else. Just
became like a math teacher. Like, what the fuck? What is going on?
Very weird. So now here we go. We're getting into the crazy part. So taking what I just told you, this is among the first CGI movies, like animated movies, to be completely independently funded. Completely independent. Yeah. The budget was roughly $8 million, which is like, for animation, is like next to nothing.
Yeah, that's shockingly low.
Shockingly low. And it grossed $110 million.
Whoa.
So it made like a boatload of money for what it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's $8 million, it's animated, and if you look at the cast, there's big names in this thing.
Loaded cast.
Like, Anne Hathaway's in this thing.
Yeah.
That's
I want to say... Yeah, hang on. The cast for this movie... Because there are some insane names in here. We have... Oh, the director was Twitchy the Squirrel.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
He directed it?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Patrick Warburton, which is like my hero. We'll get into that. He's the guy who played the wolf. He's like he's like the famous voice.
Yeah, he's like the second the wolf was on screen, I was like, oh, I know him.
Yeah. Anne Hathaway, Glenn Close.
Yeah.
And then what's the guy that I forget I think he's like a very minor character, but the guy who plays SpongeBob is in this movie.
He is?
Yeah. What's his name?
I thought it was Matthew something. Am I going crazy there?
Isn't it like Tom Kennedy or something?
Oh yeah, it's not Matthew at all. You're totally right. But yeah, Tom Kenny.
Tom Kenny, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he plays like a minor role in this. I could be totally
wrong.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
But yeah. But so it was hailed by critics for doing a lot with a little, because they
that's
had $8 million, grossed 110, especially in comparison to like other animated films. Like most of the ones we've covered on here, I think were like like $150 million budget?
Around. Yeah, it's like usually insane. Like a little bit less, a little bit more.
It's crazy.
$8 million?
But also, another interesting thing. This is, again, the small independent companies that, like, don't exist anymore. Yeah. They did this movie. These director and editor that were part of this, like, didn't do anything else because they just were like, all right, it's independently funded. Yeah. And due to the independent funding, the animation was produced in the Philippines. So, like, they had to, like, outsource for, like, dirt cheap. They, like, were like, hey, where can we get animation for, like, no money?
For, like,
Let's go to the Philippines. Yeah.
Wow.
And they also used, I think we've talked about it on this show before, but the animation software Maya.
Yeah, that's got brought up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so they used that in very, very early stages because it's basically like, this is the best way I can explain it. If you're a film student and you have Premiere, and you don't really know what you're doing, but you can basically like make simple edits. You can be an editor, quote unquote, on
That's
Premiere.
true. Yeah.
This is basically what they did with this movie with Maya.
They were just knew like the bare bones,
the basics. We can we can make a whole movie for almost no money on this software because they didn't have, a ton of whatever resources.
Yeah, they couldn't afford it. Yeah, there's nothing they could do.
And also, again, due to the small budget they had to finalize the script as much as humanly possible before production, which is not common practice in the animated world. So, for example, what Disney could do, because they have all the money in the world, all the resources, they could just throw away the entire third act if they don't like it, and then reanimate it. But with this movie, once they animate something, they pretty much had to keep it in the movie, and that was a big concern with the director, the producer, the editor. All of them were really frustrated because
that's terrifying.
Certain segments of the movie they had already animated, they didn't like it, and they were like, we can't do anything about it. It has to stay in the movie.
Yeah, they're screwed.
Yeah. So
damn.
Yeah, so they had to finalize the script as much as possible before starting because they were like, we can't change anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And also I read somewhere like the animators all had to work pretty much in the same room, and they didn't. So they all had their own specialties, but they couldn't really utilize those specialties because they all had to work in the same room rather than like doing one thing first and passing it on to the next person to do their thing.
Oh, they can afford it.
Yeah, so they all had to do it together, and so they couldn't really utilize their specialties. So that's why it looks the way it does. Which, spoiler alert, I hated the way that this thing looked, and it gave me nightmares. I was so scared, and it's arguably the worst looking movie that we've covered on the show as a whole.
Arguably.
Maybe Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I was just about to say.
Yeah. But this movie was atrocious. It's like this, oh god.
I will say, like, in terms of the animation, before we get like into plot and stuff like that, at first, the first like 10 to 20 minutes, I was like, oh my god, this is horrendous. And I think after a while, my brain just kind of got used to it.
Maybe that's it, but I think because of how visceral a reaction I had in the beginning, I was like, even by the end, I was like, I can't even forgive this because of I know how I reacted initially. This is awful.
No, see, by the end, I was like, I don't mind this.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I could watch another movie that looks like that and not.
Oh hell no!
A problem.
Hell no.
Really? I was totally okay by the end.
Hoodwinked 2 we're never covering on the show.
I just like took because my brain was like, I've never seen the world to look like this before. So it just took a while, but after a while I was like, whatever.
No, that's fair. I guess that makes sense. But also, so the last thing I really have on production is to kind of, again, further save money as much as they possibly could. They were going to have, like, just reach out to, like, family friends to come up with the music.
Are you serious?
Like, a score.
Yeah. That's like what we do.
And, right, yeah. And they eventually found the budget to, like, hire someone to do the score.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the score quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a couple songs that actually made me laugh pretty good.
But the song, I like the score more than the actual like songs that they like sing. Written. Yeah, but a couple of the songs I thought were pretty funny and charming. But the director also wrote 2 of the songs for the movie.
Are you serious?
Yes, this dude's like a jack of all trades.
Dude, this is again low budget, like at its finest.
Yeah, he's like teaching history in like Alaska right now.
Yeah, he just disappeared forever.
Yeah, he's gone.
Well, it's so weird that... See, now I'm even more baffled because it's independently funded. It looks like everybody that worked on this put like their heart and soul into it. Like the director is like writing songs for it. He's probably involved in every stage. Like this is
he's the voice of the squirrel.
Oh yeah, also. There you go. Yeah, he's the voice of one of the guys. Like, it's so much time and dedication. Only then they just disappear.
Right.
Like the movie was so successful. Like that's like the start of your career, not the end.
It reading about the production of this almost made me think of Us.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, this is us. And like after college, we're like, screw, we're gonna try to make a movie. Right. That's literally what we're doing now, just on a way smaller scale.
They make like 11 times their budget.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy. They made so much money with this.
That's literally like if We Left Emerson raised $8 million and made this passion project, spent years on it. Like it was crazy. And then it's so successful, and we're like, nah.
Yeah.
I want to go work at a record shop in Iowa.
Right.
Like, what the?
I like how the prospective jobs that we come up with are
I know.
progressively like more crazy. That's insane. Yeah, it is wild. The production behind this like blew me away. But
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
that's all I have for plot. Which honestly,
For plot?
it makes me. I'm sorry for production. Thank you for correcting me. I was gonna say we are moving into plot because Summer Songs doesn't exist for this episode.
I was about to say, you never sent me summer songs.
Summer Songs doesn't exist. So, because Robots was the same year as this movie, which blows my mind because of how different the animation is, and obviously because of the budget and because of the the Philippines and all the animators are in one spot.
Yeah.
I understand it. That's like if you like edit like a professional edited on Premiere, right?
Yeah.
And then like a beginner edited in iMovie, and they came out in the same year, and you're like, oh, that's crazy. It looks so different. Obviously, there are like other restrictions, but it still blew my mind that they came out in the same year, and I was like,
Yeah, because it's like Robots. My memory of Robots is, didn't we say it like visually it held up pretty well, right?
Visually, I think it was one of my favorites we've seen ever. Like
Ever.
It looked beautiful, yeah.
And then Hoodwinked is one of our least favorites.
One of the worst, yeah.
Same fucking year. That's wild.
Yeah, but so we did the top songs of the summer of 2005. Next episode, I will not be spoiling what movie, but we will be doing the top songs of the summer of 2010.
Sweet.
And I'm very excited. So next episode, tune in for Summer Songs.
Okay,
So,
cool.
moving right along into plot. Now, I am going to need a little bit of your help this time because obviously, as listeners know, I take a bunch of notes on plot and I kind of go through and we comment on them, etc., etc. But because of the way that I watched this movie, and being half asleep pretty much the whole time, and being so like egregiously against this production, I the notes I took, I might be missing some things.
Okay.
So if I miss anything, just stop me and we'll cover it. Or if I mess anything up, bear with me.
To be fair, this movie is very like
Crazy.
Yeah, where it's just like, what is going... It's wild.
It is almost more crazy than The Lion King 1.5.
For different reasons.
For different reasons. But I
Yeah.
know because that one was hard because it was just all over the place.
Yeah, this is sporadic.
Because this one was all over the place, but in different ways.
A different way, yeah.
Yeah. So, we have a little film noir opening with the detective narrator. And so basically, we're going into like the story of Red Riding Hood, and the whole world,
Yeah, the wolf
that whole
and the
world.
grandma and the
All of
axe cutter
Right.
guy, whatever his name is.
The axe cutter. Yep.
Axe cutter guy.
And so we have the classic Red Riding Hood scene with the wolf, he has the grandma mask on.
Yep.
And the scene, I made a note that like the scene had a bit more edge than like a normal
Yeah,
Red
it
Riding Hood
was
scene.
pretty dark.
Yeah, it was dark. It was, a little wittier. It was funny because they were like, it was almost like a comment on that retelling.
How absurd it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they like fight. They like have like
she
a
like whips
karate
out,
fight.
Like,
Yeah.
She was on these pretty
And then-
intense fighting moves.
And then the grandma comes out of the closet all tied up.
Yep.
And Red Riding Hood's like, oh my god, you kidnapped my grandma. And then like a woodsman breaks through the side of the house with an
what?
axe. He's a woodsman, isn't he?
You mean an axe cutter guy?
An axe cutter guy.
Yeah, what are you talking
Right.
about?
Right, I'm so sorry. The axe cutter. And then, everything is going crazy. The police show up.
Yeah.
And a detective shows up. And he is a frog. And he almost reminded me of Flushed Away with, was it just Le Frog?
Oh,
Like, he just,
I
like,
didn't
looked
think
like
about
him.
that.
And, yeah, that's the
He
first
does
thing I
kinda
thought when
remind
he came
me of
on screen.
Frog.
Because Le Frog, he was like an assassin, but he like almost reminded me of a private investigator, or a detective. And so this detective, his name is Nicky Flippers.
Is that his name? I don't think I caught that.
Yeah, I think I just read it in like the production thing.
Oh, fair.
I don't think they've said the name of like any of the characters in this because I was like, who are these people?
'Cause I know there's like Little Red.
Yeah.
There's Nick. Oh, but to be fair, Nicky Flippers has like a business card at the way end.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They might have said it. Who knows? This movie's insane.
It's a crazy movie. But so Nicky Flippers, he begins to question people because he's like, we need to figure out what's going on here and
what's actually going on here.
What's actually going on.
Yeah.
Because like everyone, obviously, they all have a different story and they're trying to figure it out. So, Red is the first person they interview.
Yep.
And she explains that she was delivering goodies for her grandmother's business. And then she bursts into song. And she sings about... And she just like sings about it. And she sings about how,
how happy she is and people love her.
Exactly.
She flies with birds and stuff. It's very, exactly. I did not see a song coming, but I thought this was adorable.
So the experience I had when this started was, well, first of all, I didn't remember that there was any musical numbers in this.
Yeah, I didn't either.
The characters sang. And then the second thing, and it kept coming up. And I don't think I've ever experienced this in an animated movie with songs.
Okay.
I almost had the reaction that you have, which I was like, oh, what? Why are they singing right now? It just like blew me away because in my head I was like, it's a detective story. It's like a noir. They're interviewing these people to try and like piece the story together. Why are they singing? It like just didn't. It like didn't ever. Dude. I thought it was just like the first one. And I was like, okay, now it's musical. Now my mindset is there.
Now you know.
Every single time there was a needle drop and they started singing, I was like totally out. And I was like, what
really?
the hell? Yeah.
So for the first time ever, and not even in the history of this show, in the history of any movie I've ever watched, we're swapped.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I kind of liked
a strange feeling
singing.
that you were gonna like it.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I just thought it was like, for me, the lyrics, especially for like songs they wrote for the movie that maybe the characters don't sing, like Red is Blue and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I just thought it was clever enough that I'm like, this movie's so absurd, but it's self-aware absurd. And they're kind of acknowledging that, like through the songs and the music. They're like, yeah, we know this is silly, so we're just going to lead into it. And I thought it was clever enough and funny enough that I'm like, I think I don't mind this.
Mm-hmm. I think for the Red is Blue song in particular, that one was the only one where I was like, this is charming, this is funny. I like the comment that they're making on this whole thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was like, oh boy. and again, I don't ever react like that, but I was like, there's something about this that just really freaked me out.
Because there's even one song coming up, I'll save it, that I like really liked. Like, it's just as much as Red is Blue.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm debating making it my new like ringtone when people call me.
So, Red discovers a threat from the Goody Bandit, who has been stealing recipes, and that's where this whole, basically the plot kind of comes in. And so that's kind of where like I want to keep calling him LaFrog, but that's kind of where like in the LaFrog interviews, you kind of find out, okay, the Goody Bandit is kind of who the police, the detective, and all of the people are trying to catch because they all have some sort of connection to the Goody Bandit.
Yeah, and I like this. This is also when the Goody Bandit was introduced, and you see like dozens of stores getting closed, and like people's livelihoods are getting ruined by this thing. That's when I was like, oh, I think I might be really enjoying Hoodwinked right now. It's because, one, I like that it's, again, I kind of forgot that it was even like this weird noir crime thing.
Right.
So I was into the music. I was digging the vibe of the whole thing. I like that they took a normal story of just Little Red Riding Hood, and they're like, well, everyone has a different side of the story. Let's really break it down, which is a cool idea. And it's kind of a whodunit as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is kind of rad.
I really liked the concept. I really did. I like the concept a lot.
But
I think it might have been the animation style that really kind of just threw me for a loop. But I think just something about the production and like the final product, I was like, damn, if they stuck the landing with this could be like top tier animation. Yeah.
Now again,
I was gonna say top 10, but I was like, I have too many movies that would be above that in animation. But anyway, so she. Little Red Riding Hood specifically.
Yes.
She sets off to deliver the recipes to her granny on the granny lives on the mountaintop, right?
Something I think yes.
And she like goes to deliver
or it's on the mountain.
Right. she goes to deliver the recipes to her granny so that they don't like get stolen by the Goody Bandit.
Yeah, because doesn't she get a warning? Like, there's like a rock thrown.
Yeah.
In her like place of business, like you're next. Like we're coming for your recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So she's gonna go take the recipes, sneak off to Granny's. But important because it comes up later. The grandma's like, "Do not come right now."
Yeah.
Yeah, because grandma's doing something we don't know yet.
Right.
Figure it out.
Yeah. The phone calls, I think I missed some of those.
You just fall asleep for them?
I think I was like in and out. Anyways, because I remember they come up with like a circle.
Yeah,
and it's a person.
Yeah.
I only remember a few of them, and then sometimes I was like, "What is happening right now?" And then I was like, "I must have missed a phone call."
Yeah, there's a couple phone call scenes.
Yeah. But she gets into a cable car, and she's up on the mountain, and I think she's with
The bunny.
the little bunny.
Yeah, spoilers. Big
And
villain.
yeah, and again, we don't know who's the villain yet, but she falls out of the cable car and encounters the big bad wolf, who wants the goodies in her basket.
Yep.
And it's suspicious for this case because when Red is interviewing, she's basically saying the story as if the wolf was trying to take the goodies and steal them, and
attack her.
That was like the reason why he was at Granny's house and like tied her up and kidnapped her.
Well, it's like it's the normal story of Little Red Riding Hood.
Exactly. So this is it from Red's perspective.
Because we said it also about the first scene, but before you get the wolf's perspective on the same scene, that scene in the woods is also pretty dark.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. You're like this guy could really hurt her.
Yeah. Well, because he growls at her.
Yeah.
And it's so loud. It's aggressive. It almost scared me, and I was like, oh.
It's one of those moments where I was like, we just had the not just had, it was 2 weeks ago, but when we had the writer of Robots on, and he was like, make children's movies scary again. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, Hoodwinked heard that and was like, you got
it. Yeah. Also the same year as Robots.
Well, yeah, same year, but you get my point.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a couple moments where I was like, damn. I wonder why this didn't freak me out more as a kid, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to... I would love to know at what age I saw this, because I was scared by it. And, I don't know. I just, I have no memory of this movie whatsoever. I remember watching it, but I don't remember a single thing about it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but anyway, so the wolf chases her for the goodies, and then eventually he, falls into the river, and he kind of, floats down. And
she tricks her with the hood and stuff.
Yeah. And just a general note, Patrick Warburton, who's the voice of the wolf, threw me off so much because I could only think about him.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I was like, this is my favorite character easily. This is my favorite part of this movie is the wolf. So when the wolf, his perspective, which is next, came on, that was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Oh,
was
no
the wolf's
shit.
perspective. Yeah, because I love him. I love that character. I just everything about the wolf was my favorite thing in this movie because he was just so calm and casual.
Yeah,
and,
he was.
Just
He
with
ended up being
the
really
voice, with the voice too. It added to the scary moments, but also you're it's Patrick. He's not scary, but he's scary. It was this whole thing.
That's fair because even when he first came on, it was a bit distracting. But you're right. You kind of ease into it after a while.
Right.
But before you get his perspective, you're right. You're like, oh, this guy's evil.
Right.
This guy's a creep. This guy sucks.
And then when you find out the truth about him, which we'll get into in a second, you're like, oh, this is the perfect voice casting.
Yeah, you're this is really
he's
cool,
so
actually.
chill. He's very laid back.
He does a really good job.
And I also think the animation, the only time the animation played into the characters well was, I think, with the wolf.
Okay.
Because he was, obviously, the animation is very weird. And, it makes that character even weirder and scarier and more off-putting. And you're like, okay,
true.
this character's amazing. I loved it. So Red comes across a billy goat who helps her get to Granny's house.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm forgetting. Okay. So he basically sings
everything.
The whole scene.
Yeah.
He basically sings this is who I am, this is how we're going to get to Granny's. and then that's it.
Dude, no, you missed so much. Because I love the Billy Goat so much. He might be my favorite character.
Okay.
Because they have a moment where they introduce Little Red and the Billy Goat.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Why are you singing everything?" And he's like, "A witch put a spell on me 37 years ago, and I have to sing everything I say."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yep." And he just says it normally. And she's like, "Wait, you just spoke." And he just goes back to singing. I'm like, this movie's genius. I was so in at this point.
Sure. And then, that part was funny. But
dude, that part again, I'll get into like how I felt overall, but timeline wise, I was so in. I'm like, this is, if it keeps up this quality, this will easily be one of my favorites of the entire show. And then you get to the song about how he's always prepared for everything. He has a bunch of different antlers. He has antlers for his antlers, or horns for his horns, I think it was. And then, like, an avalanche hits, and the song just quickly shifts into, "Oh, I'm not prepared. Oh, shit." And it's just like, I'm like, I love this movie so much.
Yeah, the goat was a funny character.
Dude, this is probably my favorite little chunk of the movie. The little goat, the whole, the song, all of it. I'm like, whoever came up with this idea, unfortunately quit the world of film and lives in Tahiti for some reason. But he should have gotten promoted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even just generally, even like with the wolf too, I think the like quippy dialogue I think was pretty funny. Like,
I think the whole thing's well written.
I would love to read the original script and like try and remove it from the movie, because I think it would hold up. And if you redid it with better animation and like, I don't know, better production quality, I think it really has a chance to be a good movie. I just think there was something about it that kind of threw me off. I think it was just that, like, certain sections they kind of, like, finalized and they couldn't do anything about it to change.
Yeah, there was
some of it felt weird. Obviously, again, like I've said 100 times, I hated the way this was animated. But obviously, there's not much you can do about that. But yeah, so that part was very funny. And, again, the musical numbers just threw me off so much. I was like, what's going on?
I loved it. I was so in.
And then they get to Granny's house, and then they immediately cut to like the interview of the wolf. Is that right?
Yeah, because at that point we've seen the rest of that scene play out. So we then get the wolf's perspective.
Yes. So they interview the wolf, who reveals he's an investigative reporter on the trail of the Goody Bandit, and he has the real story.
Which is such a good idea.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine someone telling you the story of Little Red Riding Hood and then turning around and be like, but what if the wolf was actually an investigative journalist?
Yeah. And
why not?
He's like the good guy, and he only does good, basically.
Yeah, he's also a hero of this story.
Right. And I think it's funny because everything that you see from Red's perspective as a bad thing for the wolf sees as a bad perspective of Red.
From Red.
Because he has suspicions about Red working for Granny and being the culprits behind the Goody Bandits.
Yeah, it's them. They're trying to put everyone else out of business.
Exactly. And so I think it's funny because he asks around, and he eventually finds out that Red is like working with Granny, and Granny lives on a mountain and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But he asks around, and there's this one scene where he's like a
wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, straight up.
I thought that was very funny. Yeah. And he talks to like this sheep that's like, what, like a New Yorker?
Like a mob New Yorker kind of sheep.
And I thought that was very funny. And he's like, well, what do you know? He's like, I don't know anything.
Dude, like the way we're describing this movie, it's so smart. Like it
is a very smart movie. But and he also has a sidekick named Twitchy, who is a squirrel who's very twitchy. He's very talks fast, also the director. And he takes the pictures for the investigation. He has the little camera, and yeah.
Also, are we gonna acknowledge the fact that it's basically the same exact squirrel from Over the Hedge?
And the scene at the end,
there's really a caffeine thing coming up.
Exactly,
dude,
the exact same thing.
I was stunned.
It like blew my mind.
It's the exact same thing as Over the Hedge. I don't know which one came out first.
I was just gonna look that up. Over the Hedge was 2006. It was a year later.
Dude, they copied Hoodwinked. Confirmed.
There's no way that because of how long animation takes, there's no way that's possible.
No,
I know.
Insanely
funny that it's like 12 months, if that.
The same exact character and story.
Same exact scene. Yeah.
I was so baffled.
Because also both of them, it's like the caffeine. The squirrel drinks the caffeine and then goes on this like rampage and basically saves the day at the very end. And both of them are the exact same. That's what happens in both.
They both they both are not allowed to drink caffeine the whole movie. At the way end, they drink caffeine, save the day.
Yep. And also, when Wolf is telling his side of the story, he like gets beat up by Red. She like sprays him with like wolf spray.
Yeah.
And then she like beats him up, and then they like come back and they're like, "You got beat up, right?" And then we find out that like Red like is like genuinely like trained in karate.
Yeah, she
which I thought was insane and also pretty funny.
See, this movie's smart. This
I
movie's
was
good.
Gonna say, the more I'm talking about it, like the bits are good, but the animation threw me off so much that I was like, I can't even stand to look at this.
No, this movie's good. I'm telling you.
Again, if it looked good, I think I would be a big fan of it because I really do like the concept, and the bits were funny, but I just visually I couldn't get into it.
You couldn't get behind it.
It was the songs and the visuals. I was like, fuck this thing.
No, the songs were good. You're wrong.
So then Wolf, so Wolf chases Red, who he thinks is escaping him because she knows she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
So like from his perspective, she knows she's the bad guy. He knows she's the bad guy.
Yeah, he knows.
She's like, oh shit, he found out. I gotta run.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not what happened.
No.
But it's from his perspective. And we see all of the Red story, the whole thing that we just saw from Red's perspective, from his perspective, from Wolf's perspective.
Yeah, like the reason he like screamed at her was because like the squirrel like didn't bite his tail or something, but hurt him somehow. I don't remember.
Yeah,
like it's all just like these little clever explanations on why the wolf was like acting so evil.
It's almost like a more clever version of Lion King 1.5, where you're like filling in the.
It's a way more clever version
of like what's happening. Or like why things happened, but it's not fart jokes. It's like actually interesting.
Well, I think the biggest up this has against the Lion King 1.5 is Lion King 1 was created, and that was the extent of it. And then they made 1.5 and like, oh, what can we do around this? Where Hoodwinked, that was always the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll tell this story and then get all the different perspectives. So.
Right.
It kind of intricately works together. Like, you have to be a smart writer to pull that off, and I think they did.
I agree. Also, because Lion King 1 is just so legendary, and like trying to like fill in the cracks of such an iconic movie, it's like so hard to do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't even attempt.
Yeah. But then we cut back to the interview room with Le Frog and Wolf. And Wolf says that Granny was already tied up when he got there.
It wasn't even him.
Yeah, so he was like, I didn't do it. She must have just, tried to play it off as she was innocent.
Yeah.
But she's in the wrong. Something's going on here.
Something's going on there.
Suspicious about them. Okay. So then we see the entire story from the woodsman's perspective. I forgot what you said.
The axe cutter man.
The axe cutter guy, yeah.
Axe cutter guy.
Who... we find out is actually a struggling actor.
Which so good.
Yeah, so funny. And after his schnitzel truck, he runs a schnitzel truck.
Goddamn right he does.
And it gets robbed by the Goody Bandit, and he is like depressed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he gets a call back
for commercial,
like to audition for like to be a woodsman.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he gets a call back from like a gecko.
Yes.
Yeah, and then if you didn't know, there was a cute little animation thing in here where I'm like, oh, it's just the little things, man. I'm telling you, this movie works so well. It has a little circle because it's like a phone call. At the end of the phone call, you see the gecko take the edge of the circle and just like collapse it himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no need to do that, but the fact they did, I'm like, that's so cool, man. I love Hoodwinked.
That's why,
up until this point.
And animation in general is so wonderful because mostly even if the animated movie I think is bad, you can do so much with animation that
just little things like that.
Those little things always catch me off guard, but they're always a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it's always like a nice little detail. You're like, oh, it's cool they thought of that and they put the time to do it, even though like only half the viewers will even see it.
Yeah. But yes. So he goes out and he practices his chopping down of trees.
Yeah, he's getting into character.
Yeah. And he goes down to like cut down like a huge tree.
Yeah, it takes him like all night.
Like, collapses, right?
Yeah.
And kind of pushes him through into Granny's home. And
yeah, he's trying to run away from it.
Exactly. And that's how he kind of enters the scene, because in the beginning, when they're fighting, he kind of just busts through the side of the house.
Yeah, I love the fact that he basically has nothing to do with it at all.
Right.
So and it's like a big joke. Yeah, they're like, okay, so you're
totally
useless.
There by chance. Yeah.
Though, it is important to point out that the bunny has now made an appearance in all three. He was with Red, he was with the wolf, and then he was in the Wolfcutter one. Mm. And then we'll get to the Granny one. That's where my love for this movie kind of goes down a little bit, but we'll get there.
Well, that's where we're at now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they interview Granny, right?
Yes.
Which, for whatever reason, I forgot they interviewed her, because for whatever reason I was just like, oh, the movie's like halfway done and they're done with their interviews, and then Granny starts and I'm like, oh right, she was there.
Yeah, we still got Granny, dude. Why was she tied up? What was up with the phone call?
I totally forgot about that. So Granny is kind of where everything falls into place.
Yeah, because she has the most questions.
Yeah, find out a lot. So we find out that she is an extreme sports enthusiast.
Dude, G cubed.
And she has been hiding this from Red. Forever. And we find out that when she was competing in a championship ski race, the opposing team like attacked her.
Yeah.
And she kind of found out that the Goody Bandit hired them to kind of take her out.
Yes.
And so she's like, who was the Goody Bandit? And then they kind of like send her off a cliff and she like falls.
Though, it's important to note where this moment happens and I was like, oh, that was too much. And then the rest, and then again, we'll get into the rest of it. But right before she basically gets pushed to her death, or they try to kill her, essentially, again, the bunny pops up. Mm-hmm. And they're having a little conversation. And I remember the bunny was evil, but at this point I was like, I wonder if I was a kid if I would have caught it by now. And he has a line that makes it so obvious that I was like, oh, like, why would you do that? Where the line was something like, he was like, yeah, like, what little creature would ever want to run all the goodie stores in one and just run the jungle or the forest? And I was like, oh, why would you do that? Like,
yeah,
it's it's such an obvious conclusion. I'm like,
right.
It was almost a moment where I was like, Hoodwinked, you just had your first moment where you let me down. I was so on board the whole time.
This far in,
dude. Yeah, this far in, that's I was so
crazy.
I was such a fan. And then this little tiny one, I'm like, oh, there's your first notch.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, so she calls Red, I think, at that point, and then
because she has a little weird phone call with Red.
Yeah, she like parachutes home, and then she
sees Red in the sky. Don't forget,
she sees Red in the sky as they're like, was that like the goat part where they're like singing?
Yeah, they're in the sky with the goat, and you're like, oh, she's about to die.
Yeah.
She's like, use the hood.
Use the hood, and she survives. Yeah. But so then she like kind of parachutes into her chimney. And then, this part animated I thought was really fun. But when the parachute kind of like floats up into like a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
And then it just like whips her around and then like ties her up with like the parachute. And then kind of launches her into the closet, perfectly closes the door right as the wolf walks in.
Yeah, it's like perfect.
Like perfect timing. Everything is perfect. I thought that animated sequence was pretty well done. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, you finally like one of the animation things.
Yeah.
We got him.
Turns out, she actually was tied up on her own. It wasn't
it was not the wolf.
So the wolf, fully in the clear, like that. This is a good guy.
Yeah, Red good guy. All four are good.
Yeah, they're all good people.
Yeah.
Which is great. Well, it's like for some reason, I like forgot that they were like all in the clear. And like none of them were the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
But so... Yeah, so that's that. That's how we're filling in all the cracks and the avalanche scene and that.
Yeah, it all comes together.
We're all filling it. We're all, tying it together. but so, during the interview, we find all this out, and Red finds out in real time, and she's like really sad, and then she kind of wanders away, and that's when the Red is Blue,
the best song,
which I actually I enjoyed.
Even if you've never seen Hoodwinked, go to YouTube and look up Hoodwinked Red is Blue song. It is so good.
It's very good. Yeah. And then, as she walks away, and then LaFrog, Flippers, he puts the evidence together that the bunny, the rabbit, who...
It's the bunny.
I didn't know his name was Boingo.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Boingo the bunny was present for all of these stories. And Flippers kind of puts this together, and then he realizes, oh God, he's the Goody Bandit. He's making all this bad stuff happen.
The one thing to point out, and I think it's the best ironic casting of all time, because I didn't even know, but Boingo, who's the villain, is voiced by Andy Dick. If you don't know about like real life Andy Dick, basically, and just like kind of a trigger warning, he's basically like a sexual predator.
Oh, wait, I don't think I knew this.
Yeah, if you look into like Andy Dick's stories, he just gropes people left and right, makes people so uncomfortable. Yeah, like this guy's a bad dude in real life, so the fact that he voices the evil bunny, and it's distributed by the Weinstein Company.
Yeah, wow.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in Hoodwinked.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Wow.
But he is a villain, so like they perfectly cast it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so. I wonder if they like secretly knew. They were like, "This is."
They must have. They totally must have.
But anyways, so Red, this is kind of where, again, I was like in and out. But so Red follows Boingo after so she sees him steal the recipes, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Red sees the recipes get stolen. Yeah.
Yes, and then she gets captured by Boingo, and then we officially find out he's the bandit. He's the bad guy. And he has, like, his henchmen, which are, like, the ski people.
Yeah, which is strange, but okay.
Very strange. Also, I forgot to mention this, but the scene where they're fighting on the slope with Granny.
Yeah.
And they have, like, a snowball fight.
Oh, yeah.
One of my least favorite things I've ever seen visually ever. Like, I wanted to just douse my eyes in bleach. I was so upset.
I didn't mind it.
That scene in particular, when they were fighting, I was like, I want to change my major. I was like, fuck this. And everything to do with this. But anyways, so we have a song by Boingo.
Yeah, we do.
And he sings. And again, I was like, you're revealing your plan in a song. I get that, like, bad guys do this sometimes, but I was like, what the hell? So he reveals that he is going to add this secret ingredient called Boingonium.
Why not?
To all the goodies. Yeah, exactly. Why the hell not? And make them ultra addictive and fatten everyone up and get them super into like his business and his company and his product. And then essentially like destroy the woods and create like a corporate empire themed around Boingo.
I had a moment.
Were hooked.
Yeah, I had a moment where I was like, I feel bad, but I think I have to say this. Is he showed his plan, and you're right, he's going to blow up the forest. And if you looked at the blueprints of what he wanted to create, it was like big restaurant, amusement park, all this stuff. I was like, oh, is this just kind of like Disney? It's Disney.
Yeah, dude, it's exactly Disney World. That was the first thing I thought when I almost wrote in my notes he wanted to create Disney World.
Yeah, he wanted to create Disney World. He totally did.
Because like even at Disney, we have like the highways are like Disney highways. Like technically, like, we own and operate the highways.
The highways.
If we wanted to, we could build like a Disney school or like a Disney like we have like Disney firehouses and like all this stuff.
Dude, that's what Boingo Liddy wanted to
do. It's an empire. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Disney's creating all these things to get their people hooked.
Yeah.
And then they just keep coming back.
It's a little scary.
This is Disney. Oh
like, it's really Disney. I was like, dude, the villain of the movie is where Nick is working.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. It's like Robots was the same thing with like...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Disney, the big corporate empire-themed lands are coming back and back and back.
It's freaky. It's freaky. I don't like it.
Yeah. I can't wait until I meet Boingo here. But so he reveals his plan in a song, and then Kirk, the woodsman. I didn't realize his name was Kirk.
The who?
The axe guy.
Axe cutter guy.
Axe cutter guy. I'll never remember that. And the wolf kind of distracts Boingo, and Granny sneaks into his lair, but they're all caught. And Boingo sends Red down the mountain in a cable car full of explosives.
Like to the brim. It's almost like a comical amount of explosives.
Very funny, yeah. And Granny kind of goes down the mountain and to save Red, and Boingo and his henchmen follow. They're all plummeting. They're all
going down where the police are.
Exactly. Because, I think we forgot to mention this, but they give, I think it's the wolf and all them, they're like about to leave the house where they're being interviewed. This is before, I forgot to mention this. But they're about to leave, and they're like, oh god, the police are going the wrong way. We need someone to go stop them and redirect them. Who can do it? And Twitchy's like, I can do it. And then they're like, you won't make it. And then Wolf's like, oh boy, I'm upset that I'm going to do this. And then the
over the hedge.
The over the hedge scene happens where he gives him caffeine and he like gets riled up and he just bolts out. And so Twitchy redirects the cops. They're waiting at the bottom of the mountain. And yeah, Granny saves Red. And the police the police are there to arrest Boingo and his henchmen.
Yep.
And whoop-de-doo. All
a nice little happy ending.
Yeah. And so, eventually, Kirk finds success. This is the axe
cutter throwing guy, chopper.
Yeah, that guy. He finds success in a yodeling group, which is awesome.
Which is amazing.
And Red, Granny, Wolf, and Twitchy are enlisted, which I think this is so funny, into the Happily Ever After Agency Crime-Solving Organization.
Damn right they are.
By Flippers. So the frog kind of inducts them. And yeah, all is well in the world. And that is Hoodwinked.
That's Hoodwinked.
And what a movie.
Do you want to do final thoughts first? Because I think you spoiled a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot. I think all of them are already spoiled, but it's fine. Final thoughts for this movie. As I've said 100 times, I think the idea for this movie is so much better than the execution. I think it's just the animation that played a big part into it. I think if it looked better, I would be a lot more on board with this. And I think if the songs didn't throw me off as much as they did, then I would be totally on board with this, and it might have been a contender for top movie.
Damn.
On this show. But because of those two things, I hate to say this, but it's arguably one of my least favorite we've ever covered on the show.
Wow. Are you serious? No way.
Yeah. I was very disappointed. And we were on such a high for so long with so many good movies.
Yeah,
between the end of Greenlit and the beginning of Summer Sessions.
The beginning of Summer Sessions with like Surf's Up and stuff.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and Robots too. I loved Robots. And I was like,
yeah, we were more split on Robots is my memory.
Sure.
Yeah.
But even like Lion King 1.5, I didn't like mind. Like I didn't hate it as much as.
And I got to watch Lion King, so I was all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a couple good gags in here. I thought some of the things were really funny. And again, I loved Patrick Warburton as the wolf. I thought that character was great, and everything to do with that character is wonderful. And also another thing is I think I really liked the score. It brought back a lot of nostalgia that I forgot I had. And I thought the score was really well done. The songs, again, some of them were great, some of them were but the score itself was really cool.
That's fair. Final thoughts. Again, I've kind of given away some, but not all of it. Is for a good 2/3 of this movie, I was like, if it stays on pace of this quality, this might end up being my favorite movie we've ever covered on this show.
That is a bold statement.
For me, if it kept it up, it could have beaten Chicken Little, which is still my number one.
Wow.
But I think once the mystery is solved of it's the bunny, there's still a good 30 minutes left after the movie.
Yeah.
It's solved about halfway through. I think everything after that was much weaker compared to the first.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's also like a problem that you find in most whodunits, at least mediocre ones.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because like I really enjoyed Knives Out, but Knives Out only works because as soon as they're found out, it's pretty much the end.
Exactly, which I think every good mystery should really save all like the big reveal to the end.
Yeah.
Like same with Glass Onion, which I also really liked. You don't really know until the way in, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
But again, you find out halfway, and then the rest it's really not as good.
No, never.
Like, there's still moments or two that I enjoy, but even I was kind of checking my watch by the end. I was like, this needs to wrap up. So, also, which is interesting, which is so weird, because the ending with, like, in the bunny secret lair and stuff, that's all the stuff I vividly remember from this movie. Like, when they appeared in the lair, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about all of this. Like, all the nostalgia came back. Yeah. So, I should have liked that part.
Right.
But even then, I was like, no, this is not as good as the first, like, 2/3 of this thing.
Yeah.
So, overall, I did really like it. It might be my favorite of summer sessions. I think it might beat Surf's Up, because, like, Robots and Lion King 1.5, I just really didn't care for that much. Yeah, this might beat Surf's Up.
You think you like this more than Surf's Up?
Only because, for me, the first 2/3 were so strong.
Sure.
Oh, and again, like, overall, I give this movie so much credit, especially now that I know how it was made.
Yeah. I give it a lot more credit. I just
that's crazy. I get the animation thing, but if you can get past the animation, I think it's very cleverly written. I think a story like this is hard to pull off because it's got to be so intricate. But I think they did a good job. You learn to like all the characters in a pretty short amount of time. I thought the songs were funny, the bits were funny, and it has, in my opinion, has a message you don't see a lot in kids' movies, at least ones we've done on the show, of like, hey, there's more than one side to every story. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not as straightforward as you think. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool message to give to kids watching. I like that a lot. Right. That hasn't come up yet. That's not been a theme in any movie we've done.
Right.
So it was so close to being my favorite, but it did kind of drop the ball pretty bad.
Yeah. One more thing before we have our final thought. Is that I when I saw the bunny, especially towards the end, when he was like evil and he did his little eyebrow.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the animation style, which now that I have such visceral reactions to this animation style, I'm worried about rewatching this movie, even though I know this movie stinks and it might be the worst movie we'll ever cover. But a little movie I brought up several times over the course of us knowing each other, called Here Comes Peter Cottontail. Which
right.
I just found out came out in the same year that this movie did, 2005.
Oh, no way.
So eventually when we cover it, we'll get to that. But it looks exactly the same. I'll show you the picture here. But if you are listening, look up the movie Here Comes Peter Cottontail, 2005, and just look at the visual style of the bunny. But look at this.
Oh, that looks worse than Hoodwinked.
Yeah.
Come on, that's gross. Really bad.
But that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw like the evil bunny.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Oh, this reminds me of Here Comes Peter. We have to cover that eventually. But anyways, one final thought about Hoodwinked.
Yes.
I can't believe
this got greenlit. Sick edition.
Yes, sick edition. No summer songs edition. Thank you all for listening. Tune in next week for what I think is a movie that could arguably, and this is just my anticipation for the movie, because I could be wrong. I could end up liking it more than I initially am thinking. But tune in next week for Fred the movie. With our very, very special guest, long overdue, my girlfriend, who has come up on the show many times. Maddie
Probably
Kutza.
Almost every episode.
Yes, Maddie Kutza. She will be on the show next week.
Woo!
Finally, for a movie that might be as bad as Cat in the Hat on the show. But we'll see. I'm very excited to see her thoughts and her nostalgia behind it. But yeah, tune in next week for that, and we'll see you next week for Fred.